are with the Omega Level Nerds. D Square. I don't know if he ever tells you to get in the chopper. Get in it now. Come kill me. I'm here. J100.
Her.
Yeah, she was.
I can holler at her. I gotta fight Cyclops and Wolverine to get that Jean Grey. Never mind, forget all that. I'm gonna hit up.
Right, exactly.
Jelly Rose.
But I'm very, very looking forward to a Factor game that does not suck. I'm actually looking forward to more figures since I do collect them.
And Volsker. Naked.
You know what's funny is I was about to say, could it be that Marvel Girl looks like she's trying to get Twitch viewers?
Yeah, exactly. Are gonna get real nerdy for you real nerds. That's right, it is Nerd 30. Come on, come all to the nerdiest stream of them all. D Square here with you, along with Jelly Rose, J100, Volsker, and a very special guest, awesome writer, Rich Douek. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys.
Oh,
Happy
of
to be
course.
here.
Appreciate it so much. So I want to direct everyone to Rich Douek, or rdouek.com, excuse me, rdouek, rdouek.com. And I didn't really give you these accolades last time, Rich, so I want to make sure that I don't pass them up here. So you, of course, live in Montclair, New Jersey. You work as a professional comic book writer and copywriter. You're a Bram Stoker Award-nominated author of Sea of Sorrows, Road of Bones, Gutter Magic, and Wailing Blade. In addition, you are going to be a contributor to the Superman Red and Blue, as well as you've already done work on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and a plethora of awesome stuff. But of course, Wailing Blade and Sea of Sorrows being a bit more recent. So, I just want to say, big congratulations to you. I remember something that you said on the last show, which was, you gave some very sagely advice about they're never going to hand you Batman or Superman. They're not going to do that unless you knock it out of the park on your own stuff. And then lo and behold, Rich Douek's on Superman. So congratulations, man. Job well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It was like a great opportunity. That just sort of came up, and I was like, was like my first shot, so I had to really go all out.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting.
But
it's exciting to be a part of, I guess, the big two. Although I don't know, I think all the best writing's being done on the small press nowadays. But awesome. So was that something you were vying for, or did you just get the tap? Did it just come out of nowhere?
Well, no, it didn't come out. It didn't completely come out of nowhere.
Okay.
Basically, he recently just announced that he left, but Jamie Rich was the group editor for Superman at DC for past few years. Mm-hmm. And Jamie's somebody that I met, I think about 5 or 6, no, more than that, probably 7 or 8 years ago. I sent him Gutter Magic when I was self-publishing it, and then just sort of kept up with him over the years because he's been an editor for a really long time. He was at Oni for a while, then he was running Vertigo, then he moved to the Batman group, and then Superman. But throughout this whole time, that I've known him, I've just sort of like been sending him my work, just
Yeah.
because I really found that from the outside, like he was an editor on a lot of books that I really liked. So he just was somebody that I thought was like a really talented editor, and I wanted to get on his radar. So I did, and it was a sort of thing where I wasn't really bugging him for work, like, a lot, because I didn't, I figured if he wanted to work with me, it's not like he didn't have my email, so he could, always get in touch with me. But at the same time, it's like, you want to, I think, every now and then you just sort of like ask, say, hey, is there anything available, or, anything you might think I'm a good fit for? And when I sent him Sea of Sorrows earlier last year, I just casually in the email was like, hey, love the stuff you've been working on, and I love Superman. I have a cool idea I'd love to do someday. So, if you want to hear what it is, let me know. And he was like, sure. What do you got? So I told him basically just like the kind of broad strokes of the story, and he said that sounds cool, and I'd love to see what you can do. And if you can fit it into 8 pages and still have it be good, I could actually have a spot for it. So I was like, sure, let's give it a shot. Because it's the story. It was the type of thing where, like obviously if someone from on high was like, you could do whatever you want, I would have probably made it like a mini series or a story arc or something like that. And I was like, let me really take a look at it and let's see what we could do as a short story. And so I wrote up an outline. I sent it in. Jamie took a look at it. He really liked it. There was an assistant editor, Bixie Matthew, on the book. She really liked it. And it was just like a done deal. From there, I went to writing the script. They told me that they got Joe Quinones to illustrate it, and I almost fell over shock because he's such an amazing artist.
He's huge.
Super nice guy to boot. But it's like to be paired with somebody that that talented and that amazing. My first time out was just it just floored me. And I have to say, like, he's like been one of the nicest, humble collaborators you could ever wish for. Like, he's like, if I'm doing anything you don't like, you let me know. And like, and that's like, like you're like hearing it from like someone who's like a legend being like, sure, give me notes. Like, or, that says a lot about like his character, that he's just very very cool. And yeah, that's how it came about. And I think as far as like first gigs go, like I couldn't ask for a better one, because Superman's one of my favorite characters, and I think like the structure of Red and Blue is each issue is, I think, about 4 or 5 stories, and they're not like in continuity stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, it's not like you're writing like a backup to like a Superman issue that's supposed to be in continuity with like the rest of the universe. So really, the cool thing about it was that like everything was on the table. There was no like, well, you can't use Brainiac because Brainiac's been dead for 10 years. You can't use Lex because he's currently on Mars. You can't use it was really just sort of like you could do. I was able to really do what I wanted for the story, and really also do Superman in a way that I really wanted to do without really having to concern myself with does this violate something that happened in 10 years ago in an issue of Action Comics or something like that.
Right, because people will
so that
call
was
you
great.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I know like that's part of being part of comic fandom is that deep knowledge of everything. So
yeah,
I get it.
So, would you say then you favor kind of this more because this is sort of an anthology book, like you said, it doesn't have anything to do with continuity. So, is that something you favor over trying to go into the mythos and keep everything straight?
No, I wouldn't say a favorite, but I will say that it's like it's definitely kind of it's much easier as like a storyteller
Mm-hmm.
to not have to um, concern yourself with like every single thing fitting like in contrast to like when I was working on TMNT, that book was supposed to be in continuity. So when I
Mm-hmm.
was pitching for that book, I had a lot of ideas that I would have loved to do, but they got turned down not because anybody didn't like them. It's because they wouldn't really have fit into the storyline. Just for example, like I had like a small pitch with like Bebop and Rocksteady, and they were like, no, 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 can't do that. We like this, but there's going to be a Bebop and Rocksteady like mini series coming out at the same time, and they're all over the place. So, I think the cool thing about Red and Blue is that, and anthologies like that, is you get kind of much broader interpretation of like what these characters can be, not just in Superman Red and Blue, but also Batman Black and White. A lot of the Marvel ones that they started doing, like Wolverine and Carnage and stuff like that. Um, I was reading, it was Carnage, Black, White, and Blood, the first issue, and it had a story in there. Uh, I, jeez, his name, who was it? He's writing Wolverine right now. I'm sorry, his name's like
Benjamin Percy.
slipping my mind. Yeah, Benjamin Percy. And the story was like it was like the symbiote, but it was like in the Old West, and like a sheriff, like an Old West sheriff, like hunting down
wild
symbiote. And it's like, how are you going to tell that? How are you going to tell that story in like any of the books that Carnage usually shows up in? How are you going to tell that story in like a Spider-Man book, or even like a part of like King and Black or whatever? It's like it's a great venue for like these stories that are very cool, but might not just fit into like where the the universe books or the series are. So I think I wouldn't say like a favorite, but I do like really appreciate it and really like the idea of being able to kind of take these characters and use them in completely unexpected ways. So it's very cool.
So as you mentioned, this is kind of your first, foray into DC. So is there a big difference between kind of the writing process or the process that you had to go through with DC versus IDW? I mean, obviously independent, I think it speaks for itself. It's going to be different. But as far as DC and IDW, were there different processes there?
Well, I mean, it's obviously different than writing, like for like Sea of Sorrows or Road of Bones or something. Basically like Alex and I were the like, there's nobody we have to check in with if we want to do something with like the story or whatever. But in terms of like Superman gig versus like the TMNT gig, like I would say like probably the main difference was that working on TMNT, there were like kind of two levels of people that needed to approve things, because there was the IDW people but then there were also the Nickelodeon people because Nickelodeon
Oh,
owns the
interesting.
characters, so everything kind of had to be run by them as well, and so it was just not, and they were great, it was just sort of like another level, whereas like in DC, DC is just DC, so everything is like pretty much in house, so there wasn't that like kind of extra level. But in terms of like the difference between that and like a creator owned thing, I think like when you're working on licensed stuff, there's like I did like a lot more extensive outlines than I usually do for my creator owned books, like just in terms of like writing process,
Yeah.
because I kind of keep a lot of stuff up in my head, and I might not necessarily like kind of need to write it down for me to keep it straight for like what I want. But when you're talking about a Superman story or a TMNT story or something that needs to get approved by someone who's not me, like
Yeah.
they're going to want to see the outline and a couple more steps along the way before they before it's like okay, you're good to go, write the script.
Right.
So that was like a little different, but um yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still like the fundamentals are the same, like
Okay.
telling good stories, and
Yeah.
you know yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned the TMT. Yeah, I would have never guessed there would be another layer of authority there. Not only would it be, IDW who, does the comics, but they still have to consult with Nickelodeon who actually owns the property. Makes total sense. I just didn't know that. That is interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's and it's not like um, you know sort of like Nick take creative control and saying like you have to tell such and such story. It's more
Yeah.
like they're checking it for the tone and for making sure that it's not going to really like clash with the rest of like you know the feel of like the TMNT universe or whatever.
Right.
They wouldn't want you to do anything that would like you know put somebody off from like watching the cartoon or seeing the movie or
Right.
something like that.
Right. Exactly. Protecting that
But
image.
it's nothing like nothing like earth shattering. It's just like mostly like kind of common sense stuff. So
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, yeah, definitely, we're excited about your foray into the DC world, but I want to talk a little bit more about kind of what got you there and, what's just
sure.
killing it, yeah, which is Sea of Sorrows, or Sea of Sorrow, rather. So, real big question, what was kind of your inspiration for that story of Sea of Sorrows? What's the inspiration there?
Well, so Alex and I worked together, and Justin, we did Road of Bones
Yes, yeah, yep,
in 2018, and that was like the first time we were all working together, and it came out really really well. Like we all had a good time. People who read it really dug it, and IDW was like, well, do you want to do more? Like what do you want to do? And we were thinking about it, and we didn't really want to do like Road of Bones 2, or like we would stick with the same characters or do like a prequel or a sequel or something like that. And there are a few reasons, like I think kind of the main one being like the ending was like a little ambiguous, and we really liked that. We didn't want to kind of answer too many questions about it.
yeah,
And then the other thing was, I think like with like a lot of like horror series, it's like you kind of run the risk of like treading the same ground over and over again, and then like each
right.
one kind of like gets lamer and lamer as you go along, you know.
And all of a
And
sudden,
then
we're
if you
at
kind of
Jason X or something.
explain everything, yeah, or like that Halloween movie, I forget which one it was, but there was like, oh, Michael Myers, he's like a druid, and like he was raised by,
Oh, is that
it's
H2O
just
or
like
something? Yeah.
something like that, where it was like an ancient clan of druids or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. They explained the whole thing, but obviously didn't make much of an impact because I could barely remember what it was, other than
Right.
that I didn't like it. Uh, so what we decided to do, we were just like, all right, well, what do we like about Rotobones? What made it special for us, like as writers? And what we kind of came up with was like, with Rotobones, there's like kind of this interplay with like a few different kinds of horror. There's um, psychological. There's like a psychological horror. These guys are out on the tundra. They're being pushed to the edge, trying to survive. There's a supernatural element of the creature. And then there's also this historical element of like a really horrific, you know, time in history that was not well. Like there are plenty of horrific times in history. Some of them are more well explored than others, but we didn't really find that um, there were that many like kind of Russian gulag stories floating around. So
Yeah.
we just started to think like, well, what are some other places like in time and history where we could maybe find that same uh, make that same magic happen, like but
Yeah.
someplace completely different. Um, and and then Alex was talking about like he really wanted to do something set underwater. And he showed me this pinup he did just for himself. Like did it like a print to sell at conventions, and it was a deep sea diver wrestling with a giant squid, and it was just a really cool piece.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, like let's do something on the water, and like looking at the diving suit, it was one of the old time diving suits, kind of like we have in the story. So I was like, okay, well, so that means it's got to be before scuba was invented and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and we were just like we were looking a lot at World War II and then World War One, and
It's
just kind
awesome.
of thinking about like there's a lot of World War II stories, a lot like people going after like Nazi gold or whatever.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of those talking about World War One, and the more we kind of dug, the more we found like interesting stuff. Like you know, World War One wasn't as kind of clear cut as World War Two. Where like there was a time when the U.S. might have gone either way. Like
Yeah.
we might have gone the way we did and stuck with like England and Germany, or with England and France. But we might have allied with Germany instead. And there was also a period of time in that war before the U.S. got involved where they were dealing with both sides. They were neutral, saying, "Hey, you guys want to buy arms? We'll sell it to you. You want it. And we found out that Germany actually sent submarines, and this is like real world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Germany sent submarines to kind of run the British blockade to try to get to America to make these deals so they could buy arms for the war. And there was one of them called the Bremen that just disappeared. Nobody really knows what happened to it. They figure it probably sank,
Yeah.
but that was like such the early days of submarines that you know it had an accident and nobody would have known.
Yeah.
Like could have been a very simple thing, and so anyway, nobody knew what happened to the sub, and then that was kind of like the pieces started to kind of click into place. It was like
Yeah.
here's a little hole in history that's
Right.
unexplained that we can set our story around, and then you know the idea of the siren was just trying to add this kind of like mythical supernatural element to it because like we're like sea creatures like what are some cool ones and we started looking at like mermaids and I was
Mm-hmm.
like okay well, what if it's not just a mermaid, what if it's like a siren with this like
Yeah.
the siren song and stuff like that, and that's how we got there, and then just kind of like developing the story and the themes we were working with, like greed and
Yeah. That's
um,
cool.
rotation and things like that, and that's really like how we landed there.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is really a cool and unique concept, and we don't see like the underwater thrillers anymore. And so I know one question, and Volsker kind of wanted me to ask this, but to me it's kind of rhetorical. Do you see a Sorrow potentially working as a film? And I do. I mean, because we, haven't seen like the underwater horror since what, The Abyss, Leviathan, way back
Mhm.
then.
Mm-hmm.
So that would really be unique nowadays, and it would probably look awesome with all the technology we have and scare the shit out of people. So I think it would.
So,
Yeah.
what was that
Uh,
one movie where they went on a ship and like they were starving and they started eating shit, but then it turned out to be like bugs and shit that they were eating and moldy food because they were like hallucinating.
Was that Event Horizon or something? I don't remember specific. I don't remember that one though. Maybe Event Horizon.
I don't
Um,
know. That was the only boat scary thing I could think of.
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
it's not done much.
I could definitely see it as a movie. I mean, I think like one of the big influences uh, for us was like movies like The Thing and
Yeah,
Jaws.
yeah.
Like The Thing and Alien. Like aliens in space, and The Thing is at like an ice station. But kind of the thing they have in common is like you have like this group of people that don't like or trust each other,
Yeah.
yet they're stuck together, and something is like hunting them. So it's got that kind of similar dynamic to it, and I think it would make an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Uh, unfortunately, it's not up to me
Yeah.
whether it becomes a movie or not. It's up to Hollywood. But
Right.
if anyone in Hollywood is listening, call me and we'll talk. Um,
Hollywood's
yeah,
all about the anti-hero villain right now, so hopefully that shifts because I've been
yeah,
done for that forever. But yeah, hopefully that shifts. And because again, I just think if you go, I don't know, I'm just thinking you go to the movie theater and you watch something like this, like you said, you got that team of people that, maybe not getting along together, and then a very compromised environment, where you're down, in the depths of the sea. It's like you're kind of, it's just, yeah, it could be really, really scary on the big screen. So I
yeah,
agree
like
with you.
really like claustrophobic.
Yeah,
Like the scenes like under below the decks and then underwater.
yeah,
Uh, like you mentioned, The Abyss. Like that was one of my favorite underwater movies. Like way back when, and yeah, it's just like thinking about like that with like today's kind of
mm-hmm,
technology and even more of like a horror spin on. I think it could be great.
yeah, absolutely. All right, and then so, what, you know, Road to Bones, Sea of Sorrow. I know we talked about Superman, which wasn't really horror per se, but you were dealing with Bizarro, right? If I'm reading that correctly, you're dealing with.
No, I think the cover story, the cover main cover
Okay.
uh, has Bizarro on it, and there is a story in there featuring Bizarro, but not mine.
So, did your horror background, I mean, obviously you're very versatile, but your horror background, did you bring that into the Superman, or is this really more outside of that wheelhouse and just showing your versatility?
Yeah, it's pretty outside of
Yeah.
outside of the horror wheelhouse. Um, it's not that I think you could. There's probably a really cool way to do a Superman horror story, even without turning Superman into the monster, like kind of like
Yeah.
that Brightburn or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or I mean, even Injustice, they basically did that,
yeah,
where
Injustice.
Well,
Superman's
Like,
trying to.
Injustice, when he was a Black Lantern, I mean, there's, yeah,
yeah,
it's hard to do, but it's done.
but like the way I was approaching it was like really not to do with horror, and it's really just sort of like what I love about Superman. What is it about him that makes him one of my favorite superheroes?
Mm-hmm.
And like uh, I'll say like a lot of it is because I saw Christopher Reeve Superman movies when I was really
Yeah.
young. It
Right.
had a big effect on me, and he was just like so perfect for like that interpretation of Superman that's really like I think there's a lot of that in in our in our story, and a lot of it in the story I wrote, and also a lot of it in Joe's art and the way that he
Yeah.
drew him. But I think like in a weird way for me, like least the least interesting thing about Superman is all the powers. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like yes, we know he's invulnerable. He's super strong. He can do all this amazing stuff. He's getting in a fight with anybody. Pretty much, he's winning. So it's like, so for me, like the human part of him is way more interesting than like the super
Yeah.
part of him. That's kind of what I was trying to get at with my story. Was like really like just getting his like humanity across and his like kindness. It's like I kind of like I think the problem with like a lot of like putting Superman like in like quote unquote like the real world, like real situations is like it's like if Superman was real, like either we'd all be dead
Yeah.
or he would be like Homelander
Right.
or you know one of those type of characters. So it's like I love the boys, but like let's let Homelander be Homelander. I'm writing Superman. I want to write like a good inspirational Superman. Like I don't want to drag him down to our level because for me, he's up there flying in
Yeah.
the sky. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So so
I
that's
mean,
kind of
when
how I
when you
was.
speak of Superman as like a human, I keep playing it over in my head again and again is like him trying to open up a jar of pickles. And like, he's strong. So then he shatters the glass and there's glassy pickles and he's like, "Darn it, not again." And that just keeps playing in my head because that's the only
Yeah.
thing I can think of is like silly things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is silly, but yeah, I love it, Rich. I love what you're talking about because, right, when you talk about Superman, I mean, what can I say? This may be a little controversial, but he beat Goku. So yeah, fight wise, it's like that's not the interesting stuff. Him is
But a
Clark
rat
Kent.
attack could beat both of them.
Oh,
Oh
right.
my god.
Uh, right. Um, they need to update that now that Goku has another. Goku and Superman both have this one thing in common, and that's they just get these powers like just oh you need this power, boom, we're gonna write it in there for you. But that just goes to show you how Superman can always just he can up the tempo, So yeah, that human element, those problems he can't solve with just his Kryptonian might. That really is where the more interesting stuff comes. And I'm like you, I grew up with this Superman by Christopher Reeves, played by Christopher Reeves. And so yeah, that really is the archetype of Superman that sticks with most of us. So good stuff. Well, so last question for you, and then we'll get into some Omega level news here. So, with your horror background, obviously you're influenced by horror movies. You're probably a lot like Volsker. I can remember since a little kid, he was always into horror movies. Like 7 years old, wanting to watch Chucky.
Mhm.
So I imagine you have a similar interest palette there. So we'll just what is your tip top favorite horror franchises? Give us a couple that are your favorite. If you have a couple, maybe you just have one clear favorite, but
Like in comics or in anything.
anywhere, anything, movies, video games.
Well, okay, so let's see. Mention the Thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
definitely one of my top movies. Alien, big fan of Alien. Even though that's one that kind of moved a little bit away from horror in a lot of the movies, I still think
Yeah.
it's got that like like the original kind of taste to it. I like what else? Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. And again, it's like there are some crappy Halloween movies. There are some crappy Nightmare movies.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the beast. But I dig those. I really dig like John Carpenter stuff.
Yeah, that
George
shit's creepy.
Romero, zombie movies. Like I love Night of the Living Dead, like the original. But I also love like cheesy Return of the Living Dead ones
Oh,
that came out in the
okay.
'80s. Like those are kind of like horror / comedy, but like they just they just work for me. I just like when I want to crack up, throw
Yeah.
on Return of the Living Dead. Um, Comics. I mean, there's so many good horror comics coming out now. Um, let's see. Where's some good ones? There's James Tinian's Nice House on the Lake just came out. That looks like it's going to be an awesome start to a series. I already love Something's Killing the Children. Um, that's a
Yeah, I know
great one.
Volsker likes that one.
I love that series.
My friend John Lees does a couple. He does Sync and Hotel at AW. Hotel is at AWA. Sync is a comic shy book, but they're both like really, really great horror series. Yeah, my friend Alex Pecknadel, he did a book called Red Fork at TKO. That's a really great comic. I mean, I could go on and on. Like I said,
Yeah, sure.
There are. It's a really good time for like horror comics because there's just like so many of them out there, and so many of them are really good.
One I would toss out to you, Rich, just in case if you haven't heard of it since you like slashers. One that I got into recently is Maniac of New York by Aftershock. Yeah, that's totally straight like Jason slasher, like on a subway, city streets. Like it's pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've been hearing about that book from a couple of people, so I definitely on my list of stuff to check out. But yeah.
All right, awesome, good stuff. Well, hey, we're gonna take a short, 30 to 60-second break, and then we're gonna come back with the Omega Level News.
Okay, Dad, I just want to finish this game. Okay, Dad, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm almost at the end. What happened to summer?
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Game Boy.
It ain't over till it's over.
Chill out, Dad.
Final Fantasy 4スーパーファミコンで登場。Final Fantasy 4いきます。
And we are back. So, yes, let's get into some Omega Level Nerd News. Our top story tonight, MSN.com, tells us about how Michael Keaton's Batman returns and a bloody tease from the Flash director, Andy Muschietti. So, basically what it comes down to is he tweeted out a picture of the front of, the Michael Keaton 1989 Batman film chess piece with the Batman logo, a little bit of dust on it, as well as a little bit of blood. And so now this Flash film is going to feature both a Michael Keaton Batman as well as a Ben Affleck Batman. And apparently, Ezra Miller, Teflon Ezra, I guess, he can do his thing, and no talk of canceling him. So this Flash movie is going forward, and yeah, we're gonna get Volsker. Of course, you're the Batman fanboy of the podcast, so both Michael Keaton and your beloved Batfleck are gonna be in this Flash movie.
I'm excited. I'm not so much excited for Flash because I really don't care about him as a character. But I know there's been, tossing around who's going to be in it. Was Keaton, but then COVID said he might not do it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Affleck said he was never going to come back, and then they confirmed Keaton was in talks. Then they did this, and then I sent you that article today where Snyder was on a podcast doing an interview, and he straight out said, no, Affleck is in the film. because they were asking him, could Black Adam be technically in the Snyderverse if they were to come back? So I thought that was kind of interesting that he just straight out said that Affleck will be in it without any other confirmation. So I'm pretty hyped for this film. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I know there's a crap ton of changes going on with DC and then the Cell and Warner Brothers shifting over to what was it, Discovery. I'm just, I hope this film can do what I'm assuming they're trying to do, and that's literally flashpoint it and reboot the DC extended universe to actually do something. So I'm curious and I'm excited to see those guys suit back up and see what they bring to the table.
Yep, I know you like your Batfleck, so
completely underrated. I wish we would still get his solo film.
Yeah, I think we still may. Their original idea for his movie with him and Deathstroke is really, really intriguing. And
come on, print money, give it to us.
and rumors are, nothing officially confirmed, but rumors are they're just really not happy with the Battingsons, the Batman. But that could just all be word spin. So not to be outdone, so this is per the direct.com, pointing us toward the fact that Ryan Reynolds took to his Instagram with a curious image with it's like a book bag next to a cup of coffee, and inside the open book bag is the Deadpool mask. What's kind of funny about this image, and maybe I'm reading into it, but on the bottom, like what the backpack is sitting on is like some sort of magazine, and it's got Kristen Stewart and some other woman on it. I don't know. It's kind of weird that he would include that. He can be a troll sometimes, but
unless he's just doing random shenanigans, like, you know what I'm gonna do today, guys? Like, if you see me, winks.
He's been rumored actually to have been in talks at some point with Marvel to be in the MCU. So that could also be, are they teasing Deadpool 3? I don't think they are. I think they're teasing some kind of cameo because we're still ways off before that movie even comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, if there's one, like, if they were going to take one thing from, like, the Fox movies or whatever that they know would be like a surefire hit, it would be Deadpool, because those movies are doing great. And it's kind of like, why wait when Deadpool is like probably the one character that they can kind of bring over without needing like 20 movies of setup, because they could just have Deadpool in character being like, hey, I'm in the MCU now, deal with it. And like, that's kind of in line with like what the character is. It's like, the whole meta thing, like, like he could probably in the movie say like, oh, it's a good thing Disney bought it, or like, and it would work like in the world of that movie. So I don't know.
Leave like the one studio and go, I quit, and then walk into the other studio and be like, hey guys.
The end of like Blazing Saddles or something, like, like they're like in the lot or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll see.
Or, he could meet up with the X-Men or the Avengers or something, and comment like, oh, I'm so glad we're not with Fox anymore, because they could never afford to put any more X-Men in my movies. And now I've got a plethora.
Right.
Yeah,
You're just gonna see him in like a sidecar, selling chimichangas randomly. It's gonna be like behind the scenes somewhere, and you're not gonna notice it unless you actually look for it. That's
what I want. That's what I want. It's just like a cameo. It explains nothing, and you're right. That's perfect. Just selling chimichangas.
Well, what everybody was pushing for is, now that Stan Lee's gone, to have Deadpool fill his cameos and just have him randomly pop up in different places.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I'm kind of against that. I don't think you can replace Stan Lee with Deadpool.
Fair point.
You know, I know. I mean, I like Rob Liefeld, but you know, he doesn't deserve all that. But it would be funny. It would be funny to.
Maybe they could drop Rob into the movies.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Sticking with Marvel stuff here. So of course, actually next week we'll be talking about the Loki series, and highly anticipated. We've gotten a number of trailers, and we basically know that it involves that he needs to go back and fix some stuff that happened on account of him having the Tesseract and skipping through time and whatnot. But overall, and this is from MSN again, so Marvel's new series Loki will fix Endgame's biggest controversy. And so the article goes on to basically explain that if they're going to have this series that involves time travel, and time travel, was a little bit of a sticky subject when it came to Endgame, that in order for them to pull this series off correctly, they were basically going to have to iron out all the details about how time travel works in the MCU, and then kind of teach us about that in this show. So, I think that's a tall
Originally,
order.
they were like, the one lady said that if the stone was taken from her time, it would split off and whatnot. So it's like, are they going with these split time differences? Are they doing it one linear thing of where, okay, now all these butterfly effects happen, or are they doing the different universes? Like, what are they doing with this time travel? There's so many possibilities, and Hubs hates time travel because of this, because you just don't fucking know, and it makes no sense.
Good point, though, because if he doesn't take the Tesseract back, then that's a whole new timeline. She's already confirmed. And from what I got is originally when they announced this, Loki, it's making him pay for what he did. But if you watch the trailers, I guess there's actually somebody else wreaking havoc in different timelines that kind of derived from what he did taking the Tesseract. So I think there's a lot more to it, and I wonder if this will also open up that Endgame did screw a couple of things up.
What's interesting to me is I recently been reading through the Avengers Bendis run. It's not that old actually; it's fairly recent, but they had even in that comic series they deal with a time situation, and that chart that they showed in that Bendis run is like a lot like what they've been showing. So I wonder if they're going to borrow from that a little bit with this whole Loki thing. But I definitely, it's like the building blocks of their time travel mechanics is, I definitely think, from what we saw in that Bendis run there. Yeah, but it's a time travel is a sticky subject. So
I wonder if we're gonna get some characters back that are dead, like, they came from this other timeline.
I hope that happens, but I just thought popped in my head since we're talking about Deadpool. I hope that Deadpool and Kraven are in the same scene, and I want Deadpool to call him Quicksilver. That'll never happen.
My God.
But that would be funny. Just more fourth wall breakage. But yeah, that's So yeah, we're gonna be taken to school, I guess, as far as time travel. I tip my hat to them. I just hope this doesn't become so hubris.
Teach us, Daddy Loki. We want to learn.
Yeah. It's got to be great. I just hope they're not so hubris with this explanation that it somehow ruins the series. I doubt that'll happen because Feige's not going to sign off on that crap.
What, like three seasons too? Is what it's?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already extended it. Yeah.
Everybody loves the Hiddleston
damn.
Loki.
You only gave my girl how many episodes did WandaVision have? You only gave her like
9.
a couple episodes, but you give Loki 3 seasons. Like, what the heck?
Well, if it's any consolation to you, Jelly, the rumors that we've been hearing for quite some time is that they want to eventually at some point get to the Avengers vs. X-Men movie. And if that happens, Wanda could basically be one half of the savior of the universe at that point. Like, she has a big part in that whole story. So maybe, and we'll get more Wanda in Multiverse of Madness. So
Yeah, we will.
Waiting. When does that
'cause do
come
you
out
think-
again? I already forgot.
Yeah,
March,
no,
I believe.
yeah.
That's too long. I need a time machine thing.
Well, Loki will help us figure out how it works, and then we'll go from there. We'll work on. We don't want to create divergent timelines. Is that right, Volsker? March, or are we thinking
I'm looking
of?
yeah, March 25th, 2022. I was trying to think because Spider-Man is in December around Christmas, so I was trying to figure out the order. But yeah, so it's actually going to go Spider-Man Multiverse of Madness.
Well, in speaking of Spider-Man, so we were anticipating a trailer dropping soon, and that did not happen. However, Tom Holland did make a video, put it on YouTube, basically thanking his fans. And in that video, he does hint at hoping to be able to show us some Spider-Man stuff soon.
I watched him do a handstand, put on a t-shirt thing the other day. I was just staring at him.
What do you mean handstand t-shirt?
And then he changed. So what happened was it was a challenge on TikTok, and you have to put on a t-shirt while doing a handstand. So then he challenged Ryan Reynolds, and his response was, no.
Yeah, that's the right answer, because I can't even fathom how one would do that.
No, the dude is athletic as hell, and that's I think main reason he got that part, because half the stunts are him himself, like the flips and shit. It's nuts.
Did you see that animatronic Spider-Man that swings around and fucking does a big flip and shit? That was crazy. Damn.
They're like, this is an actor. This is not, and it's like,
Yeah.
like what the
Man. They better not. I hope Cyberdyne Systems isn't real, because if he gets a hold of that and turns into a Terminator, we're screwed.
Oh my.
We got another big tweet here from the world of Marvel. This is actually from the blue checkmark Doctor Strange account, which is a picture showing us the title of the next Doctor Strange series, which is called The Death of Doctor Strange. That's coming out September 2021. So
Marvel's all just about rebooting everything right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Since everyone's dying, you know what we need? Marvel Zombies.
Oh, that's coming. Yeah, The Death of Doctor Strange.
I'm really interested in this one because I like Doctor Strange a lot, like as a character, and it'd be really cool just to see kind of like, I don't know if it's going to be like the start of, like, is it going to be like a self-contained thing?
Yeah.
Maybe the start of like a larger kind of like crossover thing, but whatever it is, I'm psyched to see like where it goes.
Is he actually gonna die?
Well, it's, I mean, like like Doctor Strange, he's like, interesting thing about his character and death is that it's like he's one of those characters that, like, has probably been to like all the various like death realms of the Marvel universe already. So it's like, it's not like like he knows his way around. Probably knows his way around death as like
right.
That's like universe already. So it's it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think it might be potentially a lot different from when they kill off like like Superman or a regular character or something like that,
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, yeah, the various realms of hell and death, like it's kind of been there, done that. So
yeah.
Like, yes, we got a desk here for you. We didn't touch anything on it. Everything's still there.
Yeah. This next news article, we actually talked about this a little bit on the midweek Omega Level Nerds, which was the fact that the next God of War Ragnarok, it was meant to be an exclusive to PS5, but they have since then said no, we're going to put it, as well as some other titles that were going to be exclusive to the next gen, out on the current gen. And so we talked about that a little bit, you and me, Volsker, and again, to me, I thought it was a good move because of the shortage of PS5s. And so why would you want to limit the sales of these titles? Not only competing with just having people buy it, but then people that want to buy it can't because they can't get a hold of the next-gen system. So I thought it was a good thing. But I don't know. It is actually disappointing some people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite
My only
get
concern
that.
is like Cyberpunk. Yeah, you're gonna put it on the PS5, but is it gonna look nice on the PS4?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be able to play it? Yeah, you don't want to lose out money because nobody can get the PlayStation 5 right now, but these these developers have already been focusing on making it for the PlayStation 5. Can they even downgrade it to have it run appropriately on the PS4?
Mm-hmm.
It's good points. And I'm gonna throw a couple here too. So when they announced the next gen systems, Microsoft, we're gonna all cross. You're gonna be able to play on the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the Series S, Series X, PC. It's all gonna be, and people gave them flack like no other, saying, "Well, doing the Series S, it's the technology, it's more of a smaller system. You're going to impact development. They're not going to be able to take full advantage of the power," and they just shed all over the idea. So far, people are actually loving it because of Game Pass and everything, but they were not happy. Sony's approach was, we're going to support the PS4 for another couple years, but all of our major titles, we're going to give you a reason for the PS5. And instead of stepping back, what they're doing is they're just tossing these announcements, basically contradicting what they promised consumers. And one of them we were talking on the midweek was Horizon 2. So, like, right after we talked about it, they listed like this just compatibility list, what you actually lose on the PS4 versus the PS5. And there's like some content, some things won't work correctly, like in the world, so it just won't be an option. Obviously the graphics, certain like the not the resolution, but the frame rate, like there's just a huge checklist of things that you won't be able to utilize. And if that, to me, just seems really like, what game you playing, Sony? Like you promised people this, and now you're backtracking. So what are these PS4 players? They're going to get hyped up. They're going to get this game. What are they going to lose if they're going to try to play it on the PS4? So I can
It
see
sounds
both
like
ways.
they're losing money, so they got to figure out how to get some money. Because, like you said, Xbox, you can play that on anything. Like the Medium, it was an exclusive for the newer console, so you couldn't play it on the Xbox One, but you could play it on PC.
Right.
So even if you didn't have the new console, you could still play it if you had the Game Pass.
And Sony doesn't want to release their high-end titles immediately. They said no titles will launch on PC with the PS4 and PS5. It'll be down the road. So to Dee's point, I think this is a way that, okay, well, we can only get 30 million PS5s out in the next 2 years. Let's go to this 90 million people and still give them something. May not work, right? Hopefully we don't get a Cyberpunk issue. We all know how that went. But so, I mean, they're catering to their fans, but they won't man up and say it. And that's what's pissing people off.
They just need to make
Which
a
I don't get
PlayStation
that.
app for the computer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that. That's not controversial to say, hey, we're just trying to help our fans. It's not really, but
I think it's
I don't
just
know.
more that they won't say that. Like they're still sticking to the PS5 as what they're developing for, and then so it's just, you know how people are. You don't appease them, you're the enemy.
Yeah. Have you booted up
You guys
Cyberpunk?
said this.
Yeah.
What?
Have you booted up Cyberpunk? Is that polished out yet, or what?
I
seen it was on
haven't booted
sale.
up for a while.
Okay.
I'm still waiting. I might just wait for the next gen patch, which, by the way, now CD Projekt Red is dealing with hackers releasing their next gen patches for Witcher and Cyberpunk on the black market for $10 donations. So this development team, like, they can't win at this point, and I feel bad because I love CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, you
Like,
do.
I still want more Witcher content. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Yeah, you love CD Projekt Red, so. All right, well, our last story doesn't have anything to do with video games, comic books, or anything like that. Just something I thought was cool. I don't know if you've ever heard of these little itty-bitty creature called tardigrades. They basically can't be killed and are basically immortal. SpaceX launched, how many of these? 5,000 tardigrades into space so astronauts can study how indestructible they are. So yeah, that's. Are you guys familiar with the little creatures?
No, but this just sounds like a bad horror movie coming to real life. So.
It really does. Let's
That's what I was
shoot
thinking.
out into space for space radiation and space shit so that they can come back and
Yeah.
get pissed off.
And they get hit with like the same radiation that the Fantastic Four did, and then all of a sudden
my
they start
God.
growing larger and go down to Earth, and then we've got these huge
We didn't see
tardigrades.
aliens before, but we accidentally created some.
Right. Rich, got your notebook out? I think this is a perfect idea for it.
I'm telling you, I love those creatures. I love little crazy creatures like that, and
Oops.
I read every story I can about tardigrades because they really are like indestructible. But they're really, really small, like microscopic, but they're less than 1/10 of an inch long.
Aren't they also like, they're like indestructible, like functionally immortal, or like they are like super beings. Just
Yeah,
very, very...
they can reproduce. Yeah, they could reproduce in the vacuum of space. They can survive an Antarctic lake nearly a mile underground. They can return to normal functioning after being frozen after 3 decades. So,
Well, there's our way to figure out cryogenics then.
Forget turtle genes. Give me those genes, right?
yeah, exactly.
I just want a tail. I just want a tail.
You just want
A
to say.
fluffy one.
Just, were we talking before the show about, our life expectancy going, and I tossed out the, mutant gene X. This
Sure.
kind of just seems like how we could start doing this. Like, just,
Yeah.
like, oh, you can't die? Let's mix this blood with this. Like,
Or we
You know
follow.
what that reminds me of? A new show on Netflix I seen the other day. That it popped up and I was like, what the heck is this? And it was about a half human, half deer in a
Yeah, that's what we were
post-apocalyptic
talking about.
world.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth. Yep.
Oh, is that what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was called.
our boy
Hubs is
Robert
just like,
Downey
what is
Jr.
that?
was the producer of that,
Yeah.
Oh.
the DC comic.
All right, well, that's the last of the Omega level news. So before we get on out of here, let's check in with everybody and, see where we can find everyone. Of course, before we go, we talked to Rich about Superman Red and Blue. So everybody be aware, of course, that that's coming out on the 15th of June. So that's coming up here pretty soon. So make sure and get that put in your pull list at your local comic book shop. Other than that, though, Rich, where would you like us to find you? We got rdouek.com, but any place else we can find you?
Go on there and sign up for my newsletter if you want. You can also find me on Twitter at rdouek and also on Instagram. I'm more active on Twitter than Instagram because I'm usually typing stuff rather than posting art because I draw. But it's RDOUEK on both. So hit me up, ask me questions, yell at me, whatever you want.
Yeah, awesome. And of
Make
course,
sure you go pick up his stuff.
Yeah, Wailing Blade, Rotobones. We got Sea of Sorrow, his work on TMNT. So go check all that out for show. Jelly Rose, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to where I do random ass things randomly. I need to start doing my vlogs again. I've just been busy. We've been doing yard work, and it's like we're so almost done. So it's like then I'm gonna get back into my normal schedule of, doing game reviews Saturday morning. Sunday I'm here. And then Tuesday, I do random clips and things, and all throughout the week, you can find me randomly on TikTok at J3LLI3ROS3, Instagram, same thing, Facebook, same thing, Twitter, same thing, where I'm always rambling, posting selfies, random things that I'm doing. The blogger is jellyrose at blogspot.com, and then there was something else and I forgot. I lost it. Oh wait, no. So this
there it is.
Wednesday we have a special stream, because every month we 3D print something for the person that has the most rosebuds. So at the beginning of this Wednesday, we're going to be painting the thing that the person picked to 3D print, and then afterwards, I think we might be putting together a Gundam.
Nice.
It's a Gundam.
It happened to be that Wing Zero.
Yeah, I found it at Hobby Lobby, and it was like, I think it was like $30.99, but it was like 40% off, and I'm like, no way! Like, is everything on sale all the time at Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby was a crazy store. There was just things there, and I was like,
It's
that
awesome.
doesn't make any sense.
But I love
like
their
an
Gundam
octopus
section.
holding a freaking toilet paper roll holder. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that? And then there was a shark one, but they didn't have a mermaid one. And I was like, damn it, I was going to do my bath made as mermaids, because those look like they could hold the like mega roll instead of like the little dinky ones that can't hold the mega rolls. You guys know what I'm talking about. You need the bigger ones so
You
that
gotta have your
roll.
mega rolls.
right. That's all they normally sell, instead of like the little dinky, like you go
Yeah.
through that, and like I have kids that don't wipe their ass very well still.
Leave it to
Oh.
Omega level nerds to go from nerd news to toilet paper and wiping asses.
Yeah, at the end of the show, we always get goofy. It happens.
I used to use those wet wipes too, but then it was kind of like, it was
Gotta
weird.
feel refreshed.
Don't flush them.
Yeah, they were bad.
I had a coupon for them, so I was like, oh, we're gonna be fancy. We're gonna use the wet wipes after. It's like, maybe not.
All right. Well, glad we know all that. Volsker, sir, what about you?
Yeah, so you guys can always, peep out my videos on YouTube. Haven't really posted too much other than some just gameplay clips from the PS5. I do want to get into, some more reviews and get some stuff back up going over the summer. Outside of that, you can at Volsker on Twitter. I am Volsker on Instagram, but more importantly, every Sunday getting hot and nerdy. The Omega level nerds.
Yes. And of course, our buddy J100 looks like he's still experiencing some technical difficulties. So go check him out on Twitter at J100, on YouTube, youtube.com/J100. Make sure and check out our buddy when he has any content. As far as me, at DSquare72 on Twitter, House D on YouTube, but more importantly, we really want to get some more followers on the Omega Level Nerds Twitter, so please follow us at Omega Level Nerds on Twitter. You'll get the link there to our YouTube channel, and of course, not all, but most of the news articles that we talk about here on the show will be posted on that Twitter as well, and we'd love to hear from you, show ideas, questions, what have you. We'd love to interact, so please go and do that. And then lastly, visit superherospeak.com, where you can find comic reviews by yours truly. So go check that out. And yeah, Hope you enjoy. Well, we are all set. We are going to end her here. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much. Peace and love. And we'll talk to you again soon.